Formula One is not just a sport, it's a relentless, high-stakes technological arms race. Every season, the teams pour vast amounts of resources, often hundreds of millions of dollars, into the most minute details of their machines. This obsession is focused entirely on the concept of marginal gains. They analyze countless data points, optimize complex carbon fiber components, and dedicate massive computer power to modeling the perfect airflow over the car's surface. Why? Because the entire pursuit revolves around finding an advantage so small, perhaps just a tenth of a second per lap, that it's practically invisible to the casual observer. In this hyper-competitive environment, progress is agonizingly slow, incredibly expensive, and fiercely guarded. Innovation is usually measured in tiny increments achieved through years of research and massive financial investment. It's a world where every advantage is hard-won and considered sacred. This is why, when a team suddenly finds a huge, decisive leap in performance, the entire sport stops and takes notice. This exact scenario played out dramatically in 1998. The McLaren team arrived at the opening race in Australia with something that shattered this established pattern. It was a device that was remarkably cheap, valued at less than $1,000, yet it delivered a performance gain of half a second per lap. The rest of the racing paddock was left reeling, unsure whether to be impressed by the sheer cleverness of the idea or outraged by its audacity. Their drivers, Mika Häkkinen and David Coulthard, didn't just win, they utterly dominated the competition. At one point, Häkkinen was so far ahead that he nearly passed every other car on the track. The speed advantage was transformative and undeniable. Everyone was left searching for the answer, yet no one could have guessed that this groundbreaking pace came from a simple secret mechanism hidden away in the driver's footwell, an unassuming third pedal that activated a subtle revolutionary system. Innovation in the most unlikely place. The origins of McLaren's third pedal didn't come from a high-tech design lab. Instead, the idea was born in a bathtub. Chief designer Steve Nichols had been struggling with a problem that plagued the cars of the era: understeer. It was particularly vicious in tight corners, where the car resisted turning and drifted wide, costing valuable time. Nichols needed a solution, something simple enough to implement quickly, but powerful enough to shift the competitive balance. He realized that if the inside rear brake could be activated independently, it would induce a yaw moment, helping rotate the car toward the apex. And so the concept emerged, a cheap mechanical system linked to a dedicated pedal that would brake only the inside rear wheel. This wasn't a computer-controlled trickery or some advanced electronic aid. It was the purest form of mechanical innovation, a second brake circuit with its own master cylinder, connected to its own pedal, all controlled entirely by the driver. When the driver pressed the third pedal mid-corner, only the inside rear wheel would slow, rotating the car and eliminating the understeer. It was legal when McLaren asked about it. Paddy Lowe, the team's technical director, approached the FIA with the concept, and officials agreed it fell under manual brake balance control. Nothing in the regulations explicitly forbade it. In Formula One, unless the rules say no, the answer is yes. The team introduced it late in 1997. It was subtle, nearly invisible, and brutally effective. Every test driver who tried the system reported a dramatic improvement in handling. As Häkkinen later described, the car suddenly felt alive in a way it never had before. It turned when he wanted it to turn. It trusted him, and he trusted it. But the trick now was to keep the secret from the rest of the world. The photographer who saw the truth. For a period, the secret advantage enjoyed by the McLaren team remained perfectly hidden. No one in the rival teams, the media, or the governing body had any idea what was giving them such a massive performance edge. The cover was secure until one individual, a highly respected Formula One photographer, paid just a little too much attention. This photographer, known for his keen eye and ability to capture small, significant details that others missed, was observing the action during a race late in 1997. It was then that he noticed something truly bizarre, something that defied the fundamental rules of racing. A car's inside rear brake disc was visibly glowing bright orange right in the middle of a high-speed corner. This was baffling. Race drivers simply do not touch the brakes while they are trying to maintain maximum speed through a turn. Applying the brakes would slow them down and ruin their lap. Yet he watched again and the evidence was clear. The heat was building up on the brake disc, but only on the inner side of the car, only when the car was turning, and only on the McLaren. This indicated a system was at work that was completely contrary to normal racing practice. Something was clearly amiss. Or perhaps something was working incredibly well, but looked suspiciously like it shouldn't be allowed. As luck would have it, both McLaren cars unexpectedly retired from that particular race, giving the photographer a rare golden opportunity. As the cars were being packed up after the race, he managed to quickly get close to the open cockpit of one of the cars. With precise timing, he aimed his camera and captured a single image that would soon send shockwaves through the entire sport. The photograph was a clear, undeniable close-up of the driver's footwell, revealing not the expected two pedals, but a third. It was irrefutable proof of a hidden mechanism no one had even suspected. When the image was finally released weeks later, the entire world of Formula One erupted in feverish speculation. Was it some form of forbidden electronic traction control, a banned anti-lock braking system? Everyone debated what this mysterious third pedal could possibly activate. No one guessed the actual function, but the reality was far more clever, yet stunningly simple and purely mechanical. Ferrari's fury and the death of the third pedal. Once the 1998 season began, McLaren's dominance made the situation impossible to ignore. From the very first laps, it was clear that something fundamental had shifted. Ferrari watched their championship hopes evaporate almost instantly, stunned at how effortlessly the silver cars pulled away. Michael Schumacher pushed harder than he ever had, dancing on the edge of grip. But no matter how aggressively he attacked the corners, he simply could not match the McLaren pace. Ferrari launched a formal protest. Their argument was simple but explosive. The brake steer mechanism wasn't just a clever braking system, it was a form of rear-wheel steering. When the driver pressed the secondary pedal, it selectively braked the inside rear wheel, causing the car to pivot with unnatural precision. To Ferrari, this wasn't driver aid, it was illegal manipulation. Rear-wheel steering had been explicitly banned years earlier, making McLaren's innovation a direct violation of the regulations. The FIA investigated. What followed was days of technical scrutiny and heated debate behind closed doors. Finally, at the 1998 Brazilian Grand Prix, the stewards delivered their ruling. The system was illegal and had to be removed immediately. But Ferrari had protested too late. By the time the ban was enforced, McLaren had already extracted everything they needed. The brake steer system had helped their drivers refine a driving style perfectly tailored to the car's aerodynamics and balance. Even without the extra pedal, the team was now far ahead in development and confidence. Their momentum carried them through the season. Häkkinen won the Drivers' Championship. McLaren claimed the Constructors' title. The device was gone, but its impact continued to shape the year. Genius or cheating? The thin line of Formula One innovation. The story of that simple third pedal is much more than just a footnote in racing history. It serves as a perfect illustration of the Formula One world itself. It's a universe where the most brilliant engineering concepts often hover right on the boundary of what's allowed. Here, genuine innovation can look strikingly similar to clever rule manipulation, and the dividing line between genius and rule breaking is incredibly thin. The question of whether McLaren was right to push the limits, or if their rivals were simply frustrated that they hadn't thought of it first, is central to the sport's ethos. History shows us that almost every period of dominance in Formula One is built upon a foundation of creative interpretation, aggressive design, and a calculated willingness to take risks with the rulebook. We've seen other similar examples over the years. Brawn GP's revolutionary double diffuser and Mercedes' clever DAS system are just a few examples of teams finding a unique interpretation of the regulations to gain an edge. McLaren's third pedal belongs in this hall of fame. The true brilliance of this braking system lay in its accessibility. It didn't rely on massive supercomputers, complex digital electronics, or prohibitively expensive materials. It was a purely mechanical solution, cheap, simple, and operating strictly within the literal words of the rulebook at the time it was designed. Its stunning effectiveness shocked the other teams because it served as a powerful reminder. The next major breakthrough doesn't always require $1 billion budget or technology from the distant future. Sometimes all it takes is a team willing to think differently about a basic mechanical problem. McLaren found a solution that cost less than a few $1,000s in a sport where competitors measure spending in the hundreds of millions. For a brief shining period, that simple, inexpensive idea was enough to redefine the competition and lead them to a championship. Ultimately, the third pedal was banned because the governing body decided its function crossed a fundamental line, but its legacy endures as a defining symbol of the technological arms race that makes Formula One so thrilling. The difference between victory, legality, and a simple technical protest often boils down to a few carefully chosen words in the rulebook, and in this case, the observant eye of a single strategically placed photographer.
If you like what you've learned, then please subscribe for more Motorsport Decoded.